My name is Alfonso Severos, and this is the Peripheral View Show. Peripheral View is my weekly short doc series that examine those issues on the peripheral edge of the news. We just completed an historical election in which 68% of all eligible voters in this country voted. Now, compared to the 2016 presidential election between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, in which only 58% of all eligible voters voted. People came out for this election in record numbers. We saw record numbers with young people, being those folks 24 and under. And most folks said this group would not come out, and they did. Black Lives Matter came out, cast their vote. The African American vote, the Latino vote were critical to Biden's and Harris' victory. The Latino vote played a significant role in Arizona going from Republican to Democrat. The black vote was historical. The black vote in Detroit guaranteed Michigan to go Democrat. Record numbers. The black vote in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh guaranteed Pennsylvania to go Democrat. And the most surprising of all, the black vote in Georgia turned that Dixie state blue. It went Democrat. So, African Americans saved the Democratic Party because without their level of participation, Donald Trump would have been reelected. There is no question about that. And this new administration owes the African American community. But that's nothing new. This country owed us for a very long time since we set our first foot on these shores. They have a debt to the black community for slavery, discrimination, lynching, all the injustice that was put upon African American community. Not only the physical injustice, but the outright discrimination. And when they presented opportunities for other groups, we were excluded. Going from the Homestead Act all the way up to the GI Bill. Now, I want to talk about the GI Bill because the GI Bill is a model, in my mind, in which I think we need to look at in terms of what blacks should ask for from the Republican Party. GI Bill was passed in mainly if you look at the period from 1940 to 1945, World War I, World War II, you had approximately 13 million servicemen who served. Well, men and women who served. 13 million. And of that 13 million, well, about 1.2 billion was African Americans. And when the war was over and victory was won, and all those soldiers came back, the government says, hey, we need to reward these folks who defended democracy, who defeated fascism, and who guaranteed the safety of the American public. And what they did for GIs was the GI Bill. And the GI Bill gave low interest loans for people to start businesses, low mortgage loans so people can buy homes and have a mortgage equal to the rent they were paying. Educational loans, educational grants so people can go to school for free. All of this was done under the GI Bill. And it was the foundation for the creation of the middle class in this country. Except there was one thing. Black people was basically excluded. Excluded, even those who were veterans, who fought and bled for this country, was excluded from the benefits of the GI Bill. You take in 1947 in the state of Mississippi, in 9 of its largest cities, you had 3,200 veteran GI Bill loans for mortgages given out. 3,200. And two. 1 plus 1 was given to an African American. And that is not the exception. That was more the rule in the South. Financial institutions refuse to offer these benefits. And whites took great advantage of it. They got home loans and populated the suburbs. But it wasn't only in the South. It was in the West and in the North. You take New York and New Jersey during the same time period, where you had 67,000 GI mortgage loans given out to returning veterans. And less than 100 was given to African Americans. Now we know having your home and owning your home is the foundation for the development of wealth. And if we look at the inequality today and the wealth gap today, we can trace a lot of that to the period of the GI Bill. Now, not only did it discriminate with housing and mortgages, small business loans for returning vets. You see the same kind of numbers. This resulted in a gap in wealth between blacks and whites that we see today. Generational wealth passed down. So, if there is a debt that the Democratic Party owes us because of our loyalty and support, then we do not want a new free lunch program. We do not want a new anti-poverty program. What we need to look at are programs similar to the GI Bill that brought groups of people out of poverty into the middle class, which is low interest or no interest loans. And these loans were set up in a way in which people obtained houses with minimum down payment, and their mortgage was equal to or less than the rent they were paying. We want educational loans, the forgiveness, and that's one thing Biden is talking about, forgiving some of the educational loans, but we need that to be extended to graduates of black colleges and African American graduates of any college. They should not come out in debt because the debt that's owed historically to them. And most important, in building wealth in the black community and destroying that gap between white wealth and black wealth, is we need low interest or no interest business loans, ability to start up. We're not asking for something that we didn't have, because if you look at history, and all you have to do is look at the history of black African American businesses in this country, and you will know that we had that. They were either directly destroyed, like Tulsa, or through processes of discrimination, other processes either taken away or confiscated or done away with. So we need an economic plan, not a social welfare plan. The social welfare plan will come in time. But we need to have the elements in place for blacks to develop the foundation of wealth in this country and to bridge the wealth gap. And the GI Bill is an example that I believe one man's opinion should be the model looked at. Thank you for listening.